Chapter 1301. A large amount of viscous, foul-smelling green pus splattered toward Wilbur. Wilbur let out a shout and a protective armor appeared around him. Despite possessing the qualities of good immunity and a strong physique from the dragon tribe, he did not want to actually come into contact with the wretched substance. The green liquid landed on the armor with a series of hissing sounds. It began to erode the armor, damaging it. Wilbur frowned, but Loya burst out laughing. These are all children of the merciful Father. They contain incredibly powerful erosive qualities. How long will you last against them? As Loya was speaking, the cysts on his body continued to explode with no intention of stopping. Wilbur sneered coldly. With the kind of morals you have, you'd turn into disgusting things like this even if you managed to get to your wretched merciful Father here. You're a joke. Acting all smug. You pitiful lowlives know nothing. There's an eternal universe waiting for me, where I shall never expire. Loya screeched. The spores continued to pounce toward Wilbur. Some of them had landed below, targeting the cultivators there. Wilbur sighed. He knew that he was going to have to take Loya down as soon as possible. The people below would never be able to withstand the viruses and these disgusting creatures. Wilbur waved the historical halberd, which began to flash. The dragon's crystal and spiritual furnace in his body began to spin furiously as the dragon's mark on his back lit up and floated out, opening and shutting its mouth to mutter in dragon speak. Behind him, the shadow of the tyrant let out a howl into the air. At the same time, the historical halberd began to fade. Gold dragon scales appeared on Wilbur's hand, holding the halberd in layers as it morphed into a phased weapon. "I'm going to give you a taste of the phased halberd," said Wilbur. He let out a roar, brandishing the halberd imbued with dimensional powers as he pounced on Loya. A phased weapon had the ability to break down any other weapon but only existed in the theoretical realm. Even higher-order spells like the dimensional arrow had only managed to replicate the effect of a phased weapon. Their effect was far from complete. However, the historical halberd Wilbur was holding seemed more like a proper phased weapon. It flickered wildly in Wilbur's grasp as he swung it toward Loya. Loya's gaze flashed with terror, and he roared, "That's impossible! How could you have a phased weapon? Are you surprised?" Wilbur sneered, bringing the halberd down ruthlessly. Loya let out a growl, his snake sword lighting up with ghastly green spiritual flames. A set of inscriptions swirled about in the spiritual flames as he swung the weapon towards the halberd. A soundless explosion erupted in midair. Loya's snake sword managed to block Wilbur's halberd. The phased weapon that could erode everything was unable to do anything to the snake sword. Loya let out a loud laugh. "Trevor Penn, this is the sword of plagues, gifted to me by the merciful Father. It is above the laws of which all weapons in the world are made, which includes the one you happen to be holding. Did you really think it would work on me?" Wilbur narrowed his gaze. He knew that every world had laws of its own, and any cultivator who understood these laws would be able to use them to their advantage. For example, phased weapons required a deep comprehension of the laws of dimension. Wilbur was only capable of wielding this power by using his second consciousness to analyze the dimensional laws. At the end of the day, it was a power that still existed within the realm of this universe. No power could overcome the laws of the universe. These laws were the foundation that had built this universe, and breaking these laws would make you a god. You would have ascended mortal capabilities. Thus, Wilbur's historical halberd would only work within the laws of this universe. However, Loya's interpretations of this theory were something that Wilbur scoffed at.